Hi winners, look, welcome to Terry's Tips, guys. You saw the title, how y'all can buy a whole house with no money. Like seriously, get a notebook, get a pen, because I'm about to give you a ton of information that can literally change your life. Like this information is worth 6 and 7 figures. I'm actually going to jump right in. I'll do my nugget at the end, but in this video I'm going to tell you, what you need to qualify, because before you can buy the house you have to actually qualify for the mortgage pre-approval. I'm going to give you a real quick 3-step process. I'm going to tell you what type of house you can buy. I'm going to tell you where to go to get the money. I'm going to tell you how to do it with no money at all. Got it good. So first, guys, when we're talking about buying a house with no money, let's really define this, right? We're really talking about down payment and we're talking about closing costs. Write that down. Down payment and closing costs. Now, why? Those are the two major, biggest fees when buying a house. It's like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, obviously, there are other things. And honestly, guys, even though I'm doing this video for y'all, I'm gonna be for real. I'm doing this video because you guys asked for it, but I don't necessarily recommend that you buy a house with no money at all, because just you as the buyer, you may want to do some renovations. There may be some furniture you need. You may need moving costs, right? So I'll help you out with that also. But in this video, the two biggest costs are down payment and closing costs, which are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And a lot of times those are the two areas that keep people from buying a house. I'm going to talk about help in those areas specifically, okay? Now, real quick, what type of house you can buy. When we're talking about buying a house with no money, y'all, we're talking about FHA, like first-time home buyer houses. We're not talking about investors. Come on, somebody, right? So these programs and these kind of hacks and ways that you guys can buy a house with no money at all are really designed to help the average everyday person become a homeowner. They're not meant to help investors become rich. So you cannot use this information to buy a second property, a third property, an investment property. You are using this information when you are becoming a first-time home buyer. Now, nugget right here, guys. First-time home buyer is a really loose term. Some of you guys qualify to get some of this help and you don't even know it. So let me give you 2 examples. If you have bought a house before previously and now there's a zero balance and closed, you have no open mortgage on your credit report. Maybe you paid it off. Maybe you had a settlement. Maybe you had some case money. Maybe I don't know, you had a business and you paid it off. Maybe it was a divorce and it got paid off. But for whatever reason, you bought a house previously and now it's a zero balance and closed. You have no open mortgage on your current credit report. You actually can buy another property and use these FHA first-time home buyer programs again. Yes, y'all, and get a house with no money at all, right? With no money. Now, another scenario is sometimes if you've moved, so there's certain there's always a little gray area where if you there's some circumstances where if you move really, really far away, there's some other circumstances. Every now and then you can get away with having an open mortgage and then possibly qualifying for another one. But in general, if you have a current open mortgage on your credit report, you cannot use these strategies. If you never bought a house before, or if you had a previous house and now it's a zero balance and closed, then you can use some of this money. Got it good, guys? All right, so real quick, the 3-step process. Write this down, because before you can even think about buying the house, you have to qualify for the mortgage, okay? So 3 things: income, assets, credit. Write it down. Income, assets, credit. So for income, you need full-time verifiable income, right? So if you're a W-2 employee, you're going to have bank statements, you're going to have taxes, you're going to have W-2s, you're going to have paychecks, right? If you are self-employed like me, right, you can still buy a house, use an FHA mortgage, and some of these other things, right? What you will need is taxes and or bank statements depending on the lender. And I'm going to talk about that. Depending on the lender, but you need to prove that you have income coming in, right? You can't be, on unemployment, or you can't be on short-term disability. So you can't have just a part-time job. So just regardless of your credit score, guys, you just need to verify that you have the ability. Come on, somebody. The capacity to pay the mortgage back. So that's income. Assets is your down payment, which in this video, I'm going to tell you how to do it with no money at all. So scratch that one off. And then the last one is credit. So I recommend a 640 credit score, guys. That's not super hard to get. If you need help, I'll put a link in the description of this video. Invest in a credit jumpstart strategy session. Either myself or somebody on my team will give you a plan to get there in like 3 to 6 months or less, okay? So a 640 credit score. However, right, at a 640, that will help you qualify for the mortgage, streamline the process, you won't get crazy rates. But there are lenders that will approve you at a 620, at a 600. I even know lenders that will approve you at a 580. Now, do I recommend it? No, I don't. But it can happen, but just shoot for at least a 640, okay? Now, what type of house can you buy, okay? You can buy a 1 unit, 2 unit, which is like a duplex, a 3 unit, which is like a triplex, or a 4 unit, which is like a quad. Write that down also, guys, because there's kind of creative ways you guys can use some of these mortgages, some of this financing to do house hacking. I won't go into that in this video. You cannot go over 4 units with like FHA type of mortgages, right? Because for those type of financing, it's like they're owner occupied. They can see you living in 1 unit and renting out 1, or living in 1 unit and renting out 2, or living in 1 unit and renting out 3. But once you start to get to like 5 units, 6 units, 8 units, the bank is like, no. They're like, no, you're an investor. So these programs won't qualify. So 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, you can buy with this type of financing. All right, so let me go into the actual ways, and I'll also talk about, so stick around, some how to identify a motivated seller, which is going to help you, and where to go to get the money. So first way you can do it with no money is with a VA loan. Write that down, a VA loan. That means that you are a vet. If you are a vet, then you can qualify for 0% down. Now, a lot of you are vets and don't even know that you actually qualify for this. So if you are a vet, you may qualify. And sometimes there may be circumstances where maybe if you're like, I'm not sure if like related or married or something of that nature, you may qualify. But if you're a vet, a VA loan is 0% down. Okay, that's way number 1. Now, the second way, guys, is a USDA loan, right? So this is where it depends on where the property is located. And so this is for agriculture, right? U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now, y'all might be like, Terry, I'm not moving nowhere that qualifies for that. Say something to you. I actually checked before I actually did this video, and I think it's like, so don't quote me on the stat, y'all, but it's like 90% of the land in like the USA qualifies for like agriculture, or qualifies for like this type of financing. So you would be surprised. So you on the other end watching this, you have 2 options, right? You can say, hey, this area qualifies for a USDA loan and I don't mind moving to that area. I'm about to go ahead and do that. Or you can say, hey, I'm looking for properties and I'm going to look specifically for places that are USDA on purpose so I can qualify for that type of financing. Or guys, even just check, like maybe you're just looking for regular properties and you want to check and see if it qualifies. But a USDA mortgage, guys, is 0% down, just like the VA. So that's 2 ways. Okay, the third way, guys, is 100% financing. Yes, y'all, write it down. It's actually a thing. There are lenders that have 100% financing. Now, pause. Are you going to have other fees? Yes. Are the rates going to be a little bit more crazy? Yes, but it's because it's a trade-off, right? If they're doing 100% financing, that means they may hit you with some other fees. So my best, advice to you is just make sure that's a good fit for you, okay? So the next thing is, guys, is down payment assistance. This is amazing. So shout out to all my credit lovers, lifestyle people, and all my wealth warriors. I've had a ton of lenders actually come on and talk about their down payment assistance programs. So there are a ton of lenders that actually have down payment assistance. So I want you guys to think about this scenario. Let's say you get a USDA loan or a VA loan with 0% down and you get down payment assistance. Guys, now you've gotten a property and you've paid $0 because your down payment costs and your closing costs are all taken care of. Guys, sometimes for this down payment assistance, sometimes it's a lump sum amount, so you can use it for either or, like it just really, really varies. But just know, right, the point of this video is for you guys to be aware, for you guys to be searching for this information, because it's going to vary based on you, based on the lender, based on the area, all those type of things. But down payment assistance is a whole amazing thing, okay? Now, another thing that so many people are actually missing, guys, is grant money, right? So write that down. There are a ton. Look, somebody say a ton. There are a ton of first-time home buyer grants. So sometimes they're at the state level, sometimes they're at the county level. So let me give you an example. And let me pause real quick. For those of you guys that don't know me, I bought my first property when I was 21 years old, and I only made $14 an hour. And I used down payment assistance and seller's assistance, guys. I used $1,800 to buy my property, and I walked away from closing with $700. Come on, somebody. Okay, so it can be done. And what I will say to you, another nugget, is many of you have paid first month, last month, and security to rent an apartment or a house. Guys, first month, last month, and security is usually 3.5% down for a property. So you can 1,000% do it. Just want to leave that right there, okay? So grant money. So let me give you an example. So in Philadelphia, I'm in the Philadelphia tri-state area. We had, a grant that was $10,000. Upper Darby had a grant that was $7,000. I think Media had a grant that was $5,000. Guys, I have seen first-time home buyer grants that are $10,000, $15,000. And guess what? A grant means you do not have to pay it back. So it's going to vary based on where the property is located. My advice to you is maybe pick 3 zip codes, action item that you want to move into, you would like to move to, and say you Google first time home buyer grants for Philadelphia, first time home buyer grants for Montgomery County, first time home buyer grants for Los Angeles County, first time home buyer grants for Atlanta, right? And a lot of times on the county website, they'll outline if they have grants and what the requirements are. The requirements are going to vary. Sometimes it's based on like where the property is. Sometimes it's based on your income. So search at the state level, first time home buyer grants, Atlanta, Georgia, first time home buyer grants, Texas, first time home buyer grants, Florida. Then search also by county, right? First time home buyer grants, because it's going to vary. And it's a super amazing way to get free money you don't have to pay back. Now, one nugget right here. It's a grant. That means they're going to make you jump through some hoops. So I've had people say, well, Terry, like, I want to get this grant, but they want me to go to a 2-hour class on Saturday. I'm like, so what's your question? Hello, somebody about to give you $5,000 you didn't have. Go to the 2-hour class. Like, stop playing, y'all. Stop playing, right? So there are going to be requirements. So just find out what the requirements are and do whatever it is they ask you. They want you to take a class, take a class. They want you to go credit counseling, go to credit counseling. They want you to pay something off, pay one thing off. Like whatever it is they want you to do, it will just vary. But the first time home buyer grants are anywhere between $1,000, I've seen them up to like $15,000. Okay, guys. And then the last thing is, and I'm going to outline also some lenders and some ways you guys can get some money. The last thing is like seller's assistance. Now, when I'm making this video, it's not really, the right market for it. But when it is a buyer's market, you can actually get seller's assistance up to 6%. So guys, all the ways I outlined, you can combine things. You can get down payment assistance and seller's assistance. You can get a grant and seller's assistance. You can get a VA loan and down payment. Like you can get all kinds of variations of all of these things that help you with down payment and closing costs. Seller's assistance means that the seller agrees to give you a percentage of money towards usually the closing costs. Depending on the type of financing, guys, usually it can be up to 6%. Now, if it's a buyer's market, that may happen, but if it's a seller's market where they have a ton of offers, they can pick whoever they want, they're not about to help you guys at all. So just pay attention to the market. Now, I'm going to give you 2 other things. Being able to identify a motivated seller. Write it down. This is gold, guys, right? A motivated seller. I've bought 2 properties from motivated sellers. So how can you identify that? A motivated seller is somebody who is selling their property and there may be something else going on where they're at the point where they just want to get it off their hands and they're willing to work with you. These are the people that are like likely to give you seller's assistance or some kind of help to buy the property. So sometimes if you have a property you're interested in and they have no offers at all, that can tell you that they are now a motivated seller because they want to sell their property. They have no offers at all. That's an indicator. Another indicator, guys, the second way to identify this is if the price of the property has been reduced. So let's say the house was $300,000 and you're looking for houses, you find it, and now it's like, $250,000. Well, the seller lowered the amount. They're probably a motivated seller because they wouldn't be reducing the cost for no reason. They're reducing it to attract additional buyers. So that can give you an indication that it is a motivated seller. Another way you can identify, a third way you can identify, is if it's been on the market longer than average or a long time. So let's say in your area, all the properties you're looking at, guys, have been on the market, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days max before they sell. But you find a property that you want to move into, you have some vision, you won't mind giving it some TLC, and it's been on the market 60 days or 90 days. Whenever there's a property who's been on the market for long, that may be a motivated seller who will work with you. Close closed mouths don't get fed. Work with your realtor and ask them to put in an offer and kind of dig a little bit deeper and see if they're willing to work with you. And the last thing I'll say about motivated sellers, guys, is ask the reason why the house is being sold. I have done this and it has helped me tremendously. So for example, let's say the house is being sold due to divorce. They just want to get rid of it. Let's say the house is being sold because somebody passed away. They just want to get rid of it. Let's say the house is being sold because there's somebody who needs to relocate because of their job or another reason. They just want to get rid of it. Guys, I bought two properties from people that were on the job were relocating them, and they just wanted to get it off their hands. That's how I got seller's assistance. I got a reduced cost. I had equity in the properties right away, and I had my money in hand because I went through that 3-step process to have my mortgage pre-approval. So I was like, I got my money. I want this house. They work with me, done and done. So ask when you find a house that you want to buy, say to the realtor, hey, do you know why it's on the market? Can you find out? Because just pay attention. Some of those reasons will help you to understand that they are a motivated seller and they are willing to work with you. All right, guys. And the last thing is where to go to get the money. There's really 3 types of lenders. Write this down. There's the big banks, right? That's like your Wells Fargo and your Chase and your Bank of America, where you're going to need great credit. And, you know, they don't have a whole lot of assistance. They ain't playing with y'all, right? And then you're going to have like your regional banks, right? This is like your Citizens, your PNCs, your Santanders, your Truist, who else? It's like your regional banks, like your mid-level banks. And then the third tier, guys, the one that I recommend you use is your retail lenders and your mortgage lenders. So a full-end mortgage, whenever you hear the word mortgage in the name, usually they are a mortgage lender or a retail lender. So a full-end mortgage, a freedom mortgage, right? This is where they're not a traditional bank. That means they don't have a checking, they don't have savings, they can't give you a credit card, they can't give you a car. All they do all day long is real estate financing. This is critical because a lot of times if it is a mortgage lender or a retail lender, an example of a retail lender is like a Loan Depot, which I think they were like, don't quote me, but like last year, the year before, like the number 2, number 3 mortgage lender, like in the whole USA. Okay, so this is where all they do all day long is real estate financing. So they usually have a lot more programs. They're more lenient on income, more lenient on credit. Sometimes they have in-house underwriting. Sometimes they streamline the process and they can close very quickly. So just be cognizant that, you know, a no for Wells Fargo can be a yes for Freedom Mortgage. You know, a no for a Chase can be a yes for a Loan Depot. So if you know that you're somebody, you're trying to buy a house of no money at all, or your credit's a little bit shaky, guys, then don't go to these big banks. Go to a lender that's going to work with you. Even some of your credit unions, guys, they don't have a whole lot of programs, but sometimes they're willing to work with you because you're a member. So a quick recap, okay? I talked about the type of houses you can buy, 1 to 4 units. I talked about the ways, VA loan, USDA loan, a down payment assistance, 100% financing, seller's assistance. I talked about the 3-step process to buy to get the mortgage pre-approval, income, assets, credit. I talked about having a motivated seller, how to identify that. I even talked about the types of banks. And then one last thing I want to add right here, guys, is money, right? So again, you may need some money for like appraisal or for an inspection because the big things are taken care of, which is what I outlined in this video. 1000% like this can be done. A lot of people do this, but think to yourself, how can you get some money? That way, you know, maybe you want to get furniture, maybe you want to, you know, the windows need to be redone, or maybe it's a house that needs some TLC, which is why you're getting it with 0 money down and 0 closing costs, right? So maybe it's an income tax refund. Income tax refund is an amazing way to kind of use that fund to get an income producing asset or to get an asset or to buy a property. Let's say you still got some stimulus money. Some of y'all disciplined ones still got some stimulus money. Let's say you have 401k, guys. I've helped a ton of people use either a loan or a withdrawal from the 401k to buy a property, to buy a house. That is an allowable reason. I'll also even say gift money, guys. Depending on the relationship, like a parent, a spouse, they can gift you money, guys. And so if you kind of get almost everything taken care of and there's a little bit of money you just have to come out of pocket, you know, going to family members or friends are able to have the ability and want to help you is a way to get some money. So you're not going through this entire process with $0 and 0 cents. Okay, guys, and for my nugget, I'm going to keep it sweet and simple. I need you to go for it. Real talk, like I need you to go for it. Like you're not promised tomorrow. There's no better time like the present. Like there's no more excuses. If you make a decision in your mind that it will work, it will work. If you have doubt, fear, procrastination, then all those things are going to translate into the work that you do, your activity, and the actual results, guys. But you know, in 20 years, You will regret more what you did not do than what you did do. I'd rather you try something and fail, or try something and have to adjust, than live with regret and what if. Guys, go for it. It's the perfect time right now. Amen. All right, I hope that helped you.